Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a Thursday night live stream, second of the week. And once again, primary topic I think is going to be G.I. Joe Classified and the Haslab campaign. But I also just want to let you guys know that I'm going to give you guys, one of you guys, uh, I'm going to basically buy you a Haslab HISS tank. So, at some point during the live stream, I'm just going to randomly go through comments and select a name. I'm not even going to look at the screen when I do it. So it'll be completely random. The only caveat is that for you to win it, you will have to be somebody who lives in a place that the Hasbro Pulse or the HasLab will ship to, because essentially how it'll work is I'll pick the name, and then once offline, that person will contact me and give me their mailing address, which I will then, when I go to buy the Haslab his tank, will give them your information, so that when it starts to ship, uh, that is it'll go straight to you. So that again is the only caveat for you to be able to win this. But it'll be a random drawing at some point during the live stream tonight, and one of you guys will come away tonight with either if it might be all of you have already backed at least one. If not, if that's the case, then you'll have a second one. It is an army builder. So, but just kind of my way of saying thanks to you guys. And also just because I thought it was such a cool, I mean, I was totally blown away yesterday by it. I think we all knew it was going to be a HISS tank. We talked about it on Tuesday, and I think they I mean, it's almost like they were listening to the live stream on Tuesday, because I think they got every single thing that when we were talking about it, and all you guys were saying you wanted to see this and see that and all that, and I think they managed to get it all in there. So and obviously I'm not in the minority here, because thinking this was a pretty cool offering, because obviously it broke records, getting fully funded with the 8,000 backers in like 8 hours. It went live at 11, and I think it was like at 6 o'clock or something like that yesterday when it reached the 8,000. And then right now it's already reached the first stretch goal, and we're now moved into the second stretch goal, which just was announced a few minutes ago, before I started this live stream. So we'll talk about that in case you haven't seen it. Just a second, I'll get a little pop-up from eBay. eBay is telling me I can insert ads to make more money. I'm not sure how that works, but okay. Anyway, so yeah, so I guess though, before we go any further, let's just get a rundown of who is in the house tonight. Looks like a pretty crowded house. So Band Cub 76, how's it going from Georgia? Hope you're doing good down there. Exotic Carfax is in the house. Anonymous Dude. Danny is in the house. Ben from the bunker. Nice to see you again. Thor Gold. What is that? Thor Golden Cub. What's up, man? Boot Cat. Number 2 looks like a nice way of getting some variety with the tanks if you're going to buy more. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. I can't say it knocked my socks off, but you're right. It does, as an army builder thing. You're right. The second, goal does kind of give it a little bit of variety. KB says G.I. Joe's finally relevant again. I think G.I. Joe's been relevant, at least among us, the collectors. Maybe Hasbro is seeing some relevancy that they haven't seen in a while, but I feel like for us, we've been here the whole time saying this is a sweet line, give it some more, give it more emphasis. And I've said this before, even before the Haslab, that I feel like G.I. Joe Classified is one of the best lines out there right now. Um, Even more so than like Marvel Legends. I still enjoy Marvel Legends, but I found myself, more excited about new G.I. Joe Classified figures than I have for Marvel Legends here recently. So, not going to go down everybody's name because we got a lot of people in here tonight. Probably everybody wants to win a HISS tank. Yeah, so Sean, so just revealed shortly before going to this live stream, they finally, I mean, the stretch goal was unlocked. Yeah, the first stretch goal was unlocked pretty early this morning. So they really took their time in announcing this one. But the second stretch goal is a canopy and a classic canopy, I should say, and then a tread cover. So this is our stretch goal number 2. So we need to get to 12,000 backers for this to be included in the campaign. And as you guys were mentioning, if you want to get more than one and you want them to look a little bit different, you can give one of them a classic look and then the other the more modern look. I do kind of like the tread covers. I think that adds some nice detail. I don't know about the canopy. I think I prefer the regular canopy, the new redesigned canopy, over this classic one. But I mean, if you're a traditionalist and you've just got to have your HISS tank look like the original, then I guess it's a nice little added touch. So 12,000 backers are needed in order for this to be unlocked. And right now we are at 10,850 backers. So I suspect we'll get to 12,000 by tomorrow. Yeah, I think we'll get to 12,000 by tomorrow. We probably would have gotten to 12. We'd probably be at 12,000 had they revealed this earlier today instead of waiting until the evening to do it. But I don't know. I'm sure they had their reasonings. Maybe they wanted to slow it down a little bit. Maybe they're like, oh man, we're going to go through all these stretch goals in like 3 days at this rate. So, maybe we should pace this out a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, so 10,805. We need 12,000 to get to that goal. And then, we'll talk about the first stretch goal, which again has already been unlocked. So late last night, they revealed, the missiles, these side missiles, which I actually think these are kind of cool. I would have almost rather had something you could like hook onto the back with the tow hitch, but as opposed to attaching it to the actual tank on the side. But, these actually look pretty good. They're not spring-loaded, but I do believe the missiles themselves are removable. I think you can take the missiles out of there, but they're not like spring-loaded or anything. Which I gotta be honest, I'm not a fan of spring-loaded missiles because they always seem to go off. Like anytime you touch the vehicle, you'll accidentally hit the little button and the missile will go flying off into the air and then you gotta go try and find where it went. So I actually don't really like the whole spring-loaded thing. But for me, like, the stretch goals to me, I mean, I was so impressed with the actual product itself and the fact that we got the HISS tank driver, like I said on Tuesday that I wanted. I was hoping that was going to be included. We got the early bird figure with the tactician, which is kind of a variant of the HISS tank driver. So that's going to be included. We still don't know what color that's going to be in, but I guess we're going to vote on that at some point, the color of that figure, because the original designs had it in multiple colors. So we got 2 figures basically right off the bat. So I feel like even if like these add-ons, and we've got two more add-ons to be thrown in here. But I feel like even if they're not impressive to me, and I feel like there's probably, I know a lot of people want more figures, but I kind of feel like maybe we're not going to get any more figures than the two. So I wouldn't be surprised if the remaining two add-ons are not action figures. But Renegade, do I think a stretch goal is going to be a hooded? No, I do not. I think I think the fact that they wouldn't even let Super 7 do a hooded Cobra Commander figure says to me that there's little chance that they're going to do one themselves. So no, I don't think we're going to get a hooded Cobra Commander or head sculpt with the hood or anything like that as an add-on for this project. Gino says GI Joe Star Wars should do a GI Joe collab, Haslab, and then have six. Well, let's give Star Wars a little bit of credit. I mean, yeah, they've struck out the last two times. Well, we don't know for sure whether this lightsaber is going to make it or not. It's not looking good, but they still got I think 10 days or something left on that campaign. But you know, the Razor Crest, I believe, was held the record for getting to the minimum goal the fastest before now with the HISS tank. So their Razor Crest campaign was really highly successful. The sail barge was fairly successful. It didn't get to its minimum goals nearly as fast, but that one succeeded. So it's only been the last two attempts. The Rancor, I mean, whoever planned the Rancor just did not do a good job. With the lightsaber, I feel like, I don't know, maybe they overestimated how many people collect those lightsabers. I mean, it's a cool lightsaber, whether you like the Reva character or not. The lightsaber itself is still pretty cool, and it is essentially two lightsabers in one. But I'm not sure if there's really that many people out there collecting all these different, replica lightsabers that they do. I know there's definitely some people out there that do, but so I don't know. I feel like they maybe overestimated that. It's not that it's necessarily a bad item. I just not sure there's enough people out there that are really that interested, especially two of them. Maybe if they done, a single release that you could have bought two. I mean, that's, if you think about it, that's how they should have done it. They should have made it so it was cheaper, where you just get one, and then if you wanted to put them together, you would have to buy two of them, and therefore that would increase their number. So I feel like that's what they should have done, instead of offering it as like a double one where you have to pay essentially for two different ones. What's up, Blake? It's been a little while. Welcome back. I hear Salome in the background there. She might be joining us here soon. I would like, yeah, that would be, if one of the unlockables was something you could attach to the back. We talked about this on Tuesday, like an asp would be cool, but I just think that's too big. But like the 3 missile carrier thing that they've done for the 3 3/4 inch line would be cool. Though with all those side missiles now, I don't know if we need more missiles for this tank. But Anonymous says he feels bad for the Star Wars Haslab. Well, don't, unless you wanted it, don't feel bad. I mean, it's up to them. They should have a good feel for what their consumers want. And obviously for the last two, I think the Rancor would have succeeded had they just done a better job with the add-ons. I think it was the cardboard backdrop. I mean, the HISS tank is so good by itself that, even if the add-ons weren't great, I think people would still be fairly happy with their purchase. The Rancor was not super fan. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like something I think a ton of people were just dying for. But had they given us some cool add-ons, I think it would have done. I think it would have succeeded, and I think that's where they really failed with one, is they just did not come up with very good additions, stretch goals. Super Salome is, I heard her, so I don't know. She may come over. Or, she's been a little camera shy here recently, so I don't know. And I don't have anything out like accessories or something for her to come steal. So yeah, the Doctor Doom head on the Galactus figure was pretty weak. But again, at that point, it was like whatever they offered, it was just an addition. I mean, that will definitely be something that just goes in my drawer and I'll probably never look at again. That Doctor Doom head for the Galactus, but that was like a, I mean, you got to realize with some of these add-ons, they are very low cost items that Hasbro does, the to kind of make you feel like you're getting something extra, but it's not really adding a huge expense to the overall project. So, when they do a whole new figure, that's an expensive add-on. But when they do something like a sized up Doctor Doom head, I don't think that costs them a whole lot of money. Same thing with like the cardboard backdrop on the on the Rancor. Yes, the Sky Striker was last year's GI Joe Haslab, and I don't think they've told us specifically when it's going to ship, but hopefully by the end of the year. So, but yes, the Sky Striker was a Haslab for last year. You can. That's my feeling. Is I would be pretty surprised if the remaining either of the remaining two add-ons for the his tank are going to be actual 6-inch classified figures. What's up, Stinkface? That would be doable, as in like that's just a repaint. That would be a repaint of an existing figure. So I could see them doing, I could see that being more likely as them doing something like that. But I don't know. That would kind of compete with. Well, when you say retro colors, I mean the current figure is pretty much the same colors as the original figure. Now maybe not animated, but I feel like that's Super Seven's domain right now is like doing stuff based on the animated series. Yeah, whoever they get to voice Cobra Commander for those things actually does a pretty good job. He sounds a lot like, the original voice actor from the cartoon. It's kind of funny because I don't know how many of you guys went and saw the 35th anniversary of the GI Joe animated movie in theaters, but I went and saw it last Saturday, and they had this little thing beforehand. It was like a mission briefing, and they had Duke. I think we may have talked about this on Tuesday, but they had Duke, Scarlet, Roadblock, and then Cobra Commander broke in and did his thing as well. But most of them were the original voice actors from the cartoon. Obviously, Cobra Commander wasn't, but I think all the others, I think Roadblock, Scarlet, and Duke were all the original voice actors. But you could really tell like Duke. I mean, it sounded like Duke, but it sounded like Duke as an old man. So you could really hear the age of Michael Bell, who does the voice of Duke from the original cartoon. You could really hear the age of in his voice when he was doing Duke for this little promo thing before the movie. So it was like, wow, Duke's got. I mean, it looked the same because it was animation. So it looked Duke didn't look any older, but when you could hear him talk, it definitely sounded like a much older Duke than from the original cartoon. Yes, they were. Lata, I think is how you say his last name. But yes, both Cobra Commander and Starscream were voiced by the same person. Maybe, but then it would just end up sounding like the Joker, who sounds like Skeletor. I don't know. I mean, I like Mark Hamill, but his voice, I every time I hear him voice characters, I always end up hearing the Joker. Even if you go back to, the original Spider-Man animated series where Mark Hamill voiced the Hobgoblin, I always felt like the Hobgoblin sounded like the Joker from the Batman animated series when he did that. But the guy that get to do like these promos for Cobra Commander, he sounds very close to Chris, Latta. So if they ever did a new modern GI Joe cartoon, they should definitely get that guy to do Cobra Commander. Matthew says he can't believe the his tanks already hit the goal. I wasn't surprised at all when I saw that thing and I saw how cool it was, how it had the working lights. I don't know if SG's here tonight, but you know, he was gonna cry if it had electronic lights. So I think he did some weeping yesterday. But but when it had that and it had and not just like some lights but like the little cobra symbol spotlight and the headlights and the backlights and the lights in the canopy, I mean that thing was decked out in lights. I wish it's, they said it was battery operated, so I don't know how, unfortunately that means you can't keep it on or the batteries will drain really quick, but that would just be a nice way to display it if you could find a way to keep the lights on all the time. And then the working treads, that was something I wanted to see, was the actual working treads, so I'm glad they did that. You had the extra compartment, they gave the added back compartment with the chair and the weapons rack and all that. So I was not surprised that it met its funding goal pretty quick. I don't know, man. You got to think about it. I mean, and I obviously I don't know how old you are, but I mean I was a kid when the original GI Joe cartoon came out. Now, I was never interested in the original GI Joe, the larger scale GI Joe figures that came out in like the '60s and stuff. That GI Joe never had any appeal for me whatsoever, and it was always just GI Joe versus Cobra, that a real American hero that I was always into. But you got to think about you know, what was interesting to me and my generation is probably not going to be super interesting to most people that age that, you know, are that age right now. Kids, just like I really wasn't into the things my dad was into as a kid. Um, I got to figure Salome has joined us, folks. Salome is here. But I got to figure a lot of things that appealed to us as kids aren't necessarily going to appeal to kids of today. So I don't know. It doesn't really surprise me too much. And then of course when they try and make it where it might be more appealing to kids of today than we adults, we get all pissy because we don't want to watch that crap that kids today are watching. We want to watch the stuff we remember growing up on. So it's kind of like a lose-lose scenario for them. I mean, that's why, like, I look at the Netflix CGI He-Man, the Masters of the Universe series, and that's very different from, the original Filmation He-Man cartoon. But, I feel like that show has a lot better chance of appealing to kids today than the Revelation series, or, going back and just redoing the Filmation series, or even the 2000X series, which I thought was fantastic. But I don't think that really appealed to young kids, when that originally came out. Jerry, I believe it came with the batteries. Yeah, I know. I agree with you. I mean, there's some things that transcend a little bit. I mean, Star Wars has been entertaining kids for many, many generations. Though even that, you see, people who grew up on the original trilogy don't seem to like the prequels that much. And then, you talk to people who grew up when the prequels came out, and they like those movies much better. Everybody seemed to hate the sequels, but I'm sure there's some people out there who like the sequels. See, and I don't have kids, but I feel like if I did, I wouldn't try and get them into, like, I mean, if they were just naturally interested in, say, G.I. Joe or something, that'd be great. But I wouldn't be trying to like force it upon them to, get them interested in the things that I liked as a kid. I would just be like, oh, now we got Logan joining us here. So unfortunately, Logan's too big for me to pick up. So actually, Logan is here because he wants to go for his walk. And because it was so hot today, I figured we'd wait till after the live stream. So I think he's down here to prod me to wrap up this live stream so he can go for his walk. Rashid was 12 when the 2000X He-Man series came out. Yeah, see, I was an adult. I was in my 20s when that came out, so. And I can, like I've enjoyed that CGI He-Man series. I mean, the designs of the characters don't appeal to me that much, but I've enjoyed that series overall. So, and there's been some new of the newer Transformers series, which are definitely geared a little more for kids. I mean, Transformers Prime, I felt like was geared towards kids, but I actually like that series. So there are some things where as an adult I'm able to still, it's not quite as good to me as the original, but I can still manage to enjoy it. I agree with you there, Matthew. I feel like we definitely did get better cartoons back in the 80s, but I don't know if kids today would agree with that. I mean, there just aren't as many cartoons. I mean, I guess kids today are watching YouTube more, things like that, TikTok and YouTube. So, they're not even really watching traditional TV nearly as much as like we did. But and I see things on YouTube that I see like people like watch, and I'm like, why do people find this entertaining? Like like Logan Paul, like it always amazes me how popular that guy has been, and like how he just signed with the WWE today. And I just kind of like shaking my head like, are you kidding me? But I also understand that that guy is tremendously popular with, younger people, and so, it's probably a good move on the WWE's part to sign that guy. But to me, I'm like, oh my God, that's such, I mean, I don't really watch wrestling anymore, but when I see things like that, I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't watch wrestling very much anymore. I don't know. I mean, we had video games back in the day. I feel like those are the best cartoons where they kind of sneak in the dark stuff a little bit. It's not overt, but where you kind of sneak that in. Thank you, man, for the super chat donation. Look up '70s Super Joe. Yeah, the stuff from GI Joe, really wasn't until the '80s until I really got into that. I thought I saw another. Oh, Blake, man, sorry I missed this one. Much appreciated. What is GI Joe's equivalent to the HISS tank? What other vehicles can work that aren't too big? That's a good question. The Mobat, I saw some of you guys saying Mobat and Mauler. So those are obviously tanks. So if you're just comparing tank to tank, I guess that would work. But the Mobat, both the Mobat and the Mauler, especially the Mauler, were bigger tanks than the HISS tank. Um, Size wise, I feel like probably the equivalent is something like the Vamp Jeep or the Vamp Mark II Jeep. Um, Trying to think what else. The triple T tank, which was a little bit smaller, but that might be a little bit more in size. I mean, I don't think there's anything exactly that size, but I think I would definitely probably put something like the Vamp or Vamp Mark II as close to the size of the HISS tank. But the Wolverine tank, which was always a favorite of mine. That one was a little bit bigger. Same thing with again, the Mauler, the Mobat. The Mobat was a solid piece of toy because it had electronics in it, because it actually, you could like you could push the little top, slide it forward, and it would start rolling on its own. It wasn't remote control. You could just have it roll straight ahead. I think it could roll backwards too. But so it had electronics. You could only put one figure in the Mobat tank. You could only put the driver in the top there. So it wasn't a lot of, you couldn't hold a lot of figures with it, but it had a good size to it. And obviously because it actually rolled, it had real rubber treads and all that. So, but size wise, I feel like the Vamp Mark II are good size comparisons on the GI Joe side. Yeah, I tell you, he wants to go. He's gonna give a sad face while the longer we're sitting here, he's gonna give a sad face. Like I go running with my dog on a regular basis, and it's like it amazes me. Like we went running the other day. I think it was Monday. We did a 4 mile run, and like my legs were sore like the next day because we hadn't run in a while, and like he's ready to go again. I mean, if you could bottle that dog's energy, you'd have. I'd be like a millionaire. The Cobra Ferret, yeah, the four wheeler. I mean, that's a small. I mean, that's more in keeping with yeah, the motorcycles, but I don't see them doing a ferret as an add-on. It'd be cool. I mean, there's a ton of like GI Joe or Cobra stuff that you could hook on to a back of something like the Hiss that would be cool. But I just feel like those were original. Those are too big to do as an add-on. Trouble Bubble, I would love to see that. Snake Armor, the Snake Armor, that would be a cool add-on. I mean, that's not much more than just an empty shell that you can put a figure inside. So if they did a Snake Armor, that would be pretty. And the Snake Armors didn't have like articulation other than you could do the arms up and down and the legs. So I mean, that wasn't like a detailed thing, but it was definitely cool. That was my very first Cobra item that I bought as a kid. Wild Bill was the helicopter. He drove the Dragonfly, which they later called the Locust. But the helicopter, Wild Bill was the helicopter pilot. Though it's funny if you watch the cartoon, like they would have like Gung Ho flying the helicopter, and Wild Bill would be like standing in the back. Of course, in the cartoon, the Dragonfly was much bigger because it actually they drew it so it could actually hold figures in the back, but in the actual toy you could just put two figures in the canopy, but there was no place in the back for figures to stand or anything. Omega, do I think the DCEU is dead? Is this because of what's his face, the Flash? Like, I don't know if that movie is gonna actually make it out because that actor seems to have had gone into total meltdown mode, and honestly may end up being in jail pretty soon. So, oh, I agree. I think we will get to all four stretch goals. That I definitely agree. I think we will get to those. So I think we'll get, I think we'll unlock the second one by tomorrow. I think we'll be at 12,000 sometime tomorrow. So, Omega, the first G.I. Joe cartoon I watched was Sigma 6. Sigma 6 wasn't too bad. I have all those toys, but yeah, Ezra Miller. Dude's on total. I don't know what happened to that guy, but yeah, yes, he did. Like I said, the way he's going, he may end up in jail. I don't know. If they did, it would just be something. I mean, you got to realize that these things are planned out well in advance. So, they did throw in something extra with the Sentinel, like the extra tentacle piece and stuff, but it's not it wouldn't be anything major. They might try and eke out something small that they can throw in. Um, some extra blast effect pieces, something like that. But I don't think don't expect like, oh, they're gonna throw in a whole new figure because they're so happy about how well it did. So yeah, that's an unrealistic expectation. That sucks. I was hoping the Flash movie would be good with Michael Keaton and everything, but I don't know. I mean, the Black Adam movie looks pretty good, but I mean, there's just no cohesiveness with those DC movies. So you occasionally get a good one here and there, but yeah, I don't see the. I saw somebody post something like that, like thinking they're gonna throw in an armored Cobra Commander. I don't see that at all. If they give us another figure, it's probably gonna be like a repaint of something. Now, speaking of figures, I don't know if you guys heard, but they announced today for pipeline reveals, no images or anything, but they did tell us that Dreadnought Ripper and a new, more classic like Firefly are going to be coming to the line in 2023. So, two more figures you can add to the list for next year. Yeah, the DC animated movies are definitely good. They just announced a new one today, like Super Sons, featuring on focusing on, I think that was called Super Sons or something like that. But the focus was Superboy and Robin. Okay, the other thing you have to consider with Star Wars is, Disney has to approve everything that they do, and that throws an extra added wrench to it. So it's not like they can just pick anything they want. They got to pick something, and then they got to go to Disney, and they got to get approval for it, and all that. So it's a little more complicated with something like Star Wars, but Curtis, yeah. Well, I mean, we haven't gotten any Dreadnoks yet. We got Zorana coming, but we haven't. They haven't announced. This is the Ripper is the first Dreadnought that they've actually announced. And yeah, they'll probably do like one Dreadnought a year. They might. I mean, they might give us all three. They gave us Tomax and Zaemon in the same wave, so I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if they don't stretch out the Dreadnoks. Well, Shazam 2. I didn't know that movie was even far enough along to have a test screening. The best place to buy GI Joe Classified besides physical retail stores. I never buy. I almost never buy GI Joe Classified at physical stores, but usually either like Big Bad Toy Store or Amazon sometimes. Um, Obviously Target for the Target exclusives, but I very rarely buy GI Joe Classified figures from physical retail because they're just never very well stocked at physical retail. The only thing I ever see when I go to like Target or Walmart are those GI Joe Snake Eyes movie figures, or I'll occasionally see like Gung Ho or Flint Lady J. I saw a couple times, but by the time I saw Flint Lady J at physical stores, I already had them. So from the online retailer, so. Well, there's supposed to be a Lady J live action series that's coming to Amazon. I haven't heard anything recently on that, but that was announced like a year or so ago. But then the Snake Eyes movie bombed, so maybe that got put on hold. I don't know. I heard that rumor, but I feel like that's probably I would find that hard to believe. First of all, if Ezra Miller gets so bad that they just feel like they can't release the movie because of PR, I mean, just releasing it straight to HBO Max isn't going to save them bad publicity, and they would lose a ton of money. So, oh yeah, Roadblock when it was available again today on Amazon. I don't know if it still is, but you can go to TNI and there's a link to it if you still need that Amazon exclusive Roadblock. That goes up periodically. I mean, that's been up a couple of different times. That Roadblock figure. Oh, and my Fortnite Snake Eyes is shipping. I got a shipping notice on it today, so that's going to be here probably next week sometime. I'm not holding my breath on the Lady J series, assuming it even happens. But yeah, I'm not like eagerly anticipating that. I don't think they announced who was going to be in the show, but Tier 2 just got unlocked. No, Tier 2 hasn't been unlocked. It's been announced, but it's still the campaign's still at 10,853 backers. So it's got to get to 12,000 to unlock the second tier. I think it'll take till tomorrow to get to 12,000. It's kind of slowed down. EJ, hope they re-release the Doc and Silk set. The Hasbro brand team guys said that would be available again on Amazon, So it has yet to go back up, but it should at some point. Maybe, maybe next month. So you should get another shot at that. Yeah, I was pissed on Wondar. Well, not pissed because I wasn't like super like it wasn't like a figure I was just dying to have, but I missed out when it went up at noon. I was like 12 minutes. I got distracted with something, and so I didn't go onto the Mattel Creations website till like 12 minutes after it had gone up, and it had sold out. But then they put it back up a little bit later in the day, and so I was able to pre-order it at that point. But then later that evening, I got an email saying that that pre-order had been canceled, and I think everybody who pre-ordered it when they put it back up on the website had their pre-orders canceled. So I, that kind of pissed me off. They allowed people to have 3 of those Wondar figures, and if they were going to cancel people's orders, they should have canceled the people that had like that bought more than one. Let those people still have one, so everybody had one. But I mean, that probably would have been more difficult to do. But I feel like that's what they should have done instead of canceling people who only bought one, um, because they bought it on the second round. My Croc Master should be here tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. I've heard really good things about the Croc Master figure. Why, yes, Stink, I did. I am going to be giving away a Hiss tank to one lucky viewer tonight. So it's going to be just a random. I'm going to just randomly go through the comments, and I'm just going to like close my eyes and kind of scroll through, and then whatever name the cursor lands on, that's the person who's going to win. The only caveat is that the person will have to live in some place where Hasbro Pulse will ship to, because basically I will pay for it and give Hasbro your information, and then when they ship out the Hiss tank, they will just ship one to you. So um, if you live somewhere where Hasbro Pulse won't ship, then you won't be able to win it. But otherwise, it's open to everybody. And just gonna randomly scroll through comments and pick one person tonight. And that's coming up, so you haven't missed it. I don't know. I don't know if they would have gone to start doing the Haslab if Toys R Us was still around. I mean, I figure if any big box retailer like Walmart, Target, Amazon, if Toys R Us was still around, was interested in carrying something big and expensive like these HasLab projects, I think you're right. I think they would go that route over HasLab because, you got to realize with the HasLab stuff, they are still smelling. They're still I can talk. They're still selling that stuff at much smaller quantities than they would if a Walmart, Target, or Amazon were carrying it. So they are still making less money than they would if the big box retailers were carrying these items. And the main reason why they're not going those routes is because the big box retailers, I believe, have expressed that they're not interested in carrying that stuff. So, um, yeah, so whether would Toys R Us take on something like that, I don't know. Probably more likely they would than say a Walmart or Target because they have more shelf space to dedicate to large toys like that. But it's hard to say. That's certainly possible. Without the lights and everything. Well, I feel like you'd have more of a chance of them doing something like an actual 6-inch scale Ecto 1 than the Firehouse, but you mean like the his tank? Like, do I think a big box retailer will end up carrying the his tank at some point? No, I don't. Do I think retailers could be watching these things and saying, you know what, there is more demand than we thought for these things, so maybe we will carry them? Maybe, but I think you got to realize when you look at a lot of these things. So, I think we talked about this on Tuesday. Like, you take that that Star Wars 6-inch scale TIE fighter that they did, back when the Force Awakens movie came out. Now that was a movie year, and that thing still ended up going on discount shelves. And that was Toys R Us was around for that, and that still ended up just kind of sitting around on shelves and ended up getting discounted. So that's what they really, that's the type of thing that they see. That's the experience that the retailers remember, and that's why they're like, yeah, no, we're not really interested in carrying something like that. So, whenever, it's always great when something goes on discount for us as the consumer, but that generally means that it didn't sell that well. And so, a retailer is going to be less likely to want to carry something like that in the future. So, again, the Haslab, I know people were like, these are way overpriced, or the minimum number they need are outrageous, but you got to realize that 8,000, for, for a company like Hasbro, only producing 8,000 of them is a very small number. That's a very small production run for something, you know, in a lot of cases. So, obviously in this case, Hasbro's happy because they're going to be able to produce a lot more than 8,000. And that's why the more they produce, they can throw in these add-ons, because essentially the more they produce, the more that lowers the cost of the item and stuff. So, but yeah, I was just saying that earlier. I got my shipping notice for Fortnite Snake Eyes today as well. I hope it's the classic green. I prefer the green over the beige outfit. So I don't think McFarlane's going to lose the DC license anytime soon. I think McFarlane, from sales perspective, probably has been doing a pretty good job. Warner Brothers, I'm guessing, has probably been pretty happy with McFarlane Toys so far. So, assuming McFarlane Toys wants to continue, and I assume they probably will, my guess is they will. When the contract comes up for renewal, I suspect McFarlane will continue to hold on to it. It was sold at retail, but I think most retailers did not carry very many of them at physical stores. But yes, that was a general release item. Big Lob? I don't know. They might do a Big Lob. Captain says McFarlane's making us Batman 66 fans very happy. So yeah, that those new 66 Batman items went up for pre-order today. The Villain's Lair, which I actually did not get because I don't have a place for it. I have the Batcave, but I don't really have any place to put the Villain's Lair. I have my villains breaking into the Batcave, but I did get the Bat Cycle. I did pre-order the Bat Cycle, and then I got Mr. Freeze. That was kind of bummed, not surprised, but bummed that Mr. Freeze did not have his freeze gun. But those figures generally don't come with accessories, so it wasn't too surprising to me. KB, you're excited for the starting lineup? Yeah, it looks like they're basically doing articulated 6-inch figures, so Not sure if that's really in keeping with the original starting lineup line, but you know, you can have sports figures now to go with things like your Marvel Legends. We'll never underestimate the power of nostalgia. So it is a very powerful thing. So, well, I mean, for Marvel led, well, what company, what brand? Marvel Legends, that Mojo box set is, I believe, is their San Diego Comic Con exclusive. But and I don't know if they're going to do anything else for Marvel, but I believe that was basically their San Diego Comic Con exclusive. I still think that Doctor Mindbender is supposed to be the GI Joe Comic Con exclusive, but I don't know 100%. I believe the Transformers one leaked out. I think it's like an Orion Pax 2-pack, so like some repaints or something. Um, no idea what Star Wars will be this year, unless they just offer that Favreau figure again that they did at Celebration. Why is there no GI Joe cartoon? I think because they've tried several times and it was never very successful. I also think a military themed cartoon is not. I don't know. Um, Things with terrorism and all that in today's world, I just don't think flies nearly as well as it did back in the 80s. So, and whenever they try and like reinvent these brands, then, the older collectors get all upset and pissy. So, I mean, there was some talk, I think it was maybe last year, that they were working on a new cartoon, but I haven't really heard anything more on it. So, it's possible we might end up seeing some type of new cartoon at some point, but I suspect if we do, it's not going to be a reproduction of the 80s cartoon. I think that it's going to be pretty different if they end up giving us a new G.I. Joe cartoon. Anything's possible, man. I mean, and I definitely feel like Ecto 1, if they did a Ghostbusters Haslab, would be what they do, like a 6-inch scale Ecto 1 that actually holds 6-inch figures. But and again, we've got a new movie coming out next year, next December for Ghostbusters. There's a new Ghostbusters cartoon that's in the works. So I feel like, there's this drought of Ghostbuster stuff right now, but I feel like, going into next year, Ghostbuster fans might start seeing some stuff that they might, be able to get excited about. I That's just speculation on my part, but I feel like with the movie and a new cartoon coming, that's going to open the door for a lot of more potential with the Ghostbusters. I don't think there's much chance they'll do Fridge. I think I don't think there'd be enough. I mean, they'd have to go and renegotiate, and pay the Fridge money in order to do a Fridge figure. It's not like because he appeared, he had that one figure back in the 80s that they could just automatically do a Fridge figure. So they'd actually have to go, contact, the football player himself and negotiate something and then pay that, which would be an added expense. And my guess is they probably don't think there's enough demand for an old football player from the 80s to do a modern figure of. So, Sergeant Slaughter is kind of unique because he was so, used in the G.I. Joe cartoon, and he's still even relevant to some extent in the wrestling world. So, his face is still out there and everything. But, Refrigerator Perry, unless you grew up in the 80s and were like a huge Chicago Bears fan, a lot of people are just going to be like, who's that again? Yeah, I mean, they had to meet with Sergeant Slaughter and renegotiate a new thing to actually have that classified figure made. So, Sarge is making some pretty big buck from, I think, action figure companies right now. WWE wrestling figures, the Action Force figures from Valaverse, and now Hasbro's classified. So Sarge is kind of cashing in the world of action figures these days. Yeah, they did that 3 3/4 inch Roddy Piper figure, but that was only released through the GI Joe Club Collector Club. I have that figure, but I don't see them doing that. The Rocky, yeah, the Balboa figure, I think would be cool if they could go back and get Sylvester Stallone to authorize doing that one. But I'm sure Sylvester Stallone would probably want a lot of money for that, and so it may not be worth it. But I doubt Sylvester Stallone's going to give up his likeness rights for an action figure cheaply. It's possible. I mean, uh, I don't know. Oh yeah, I don't blame Sergeant Slaughter either. If people are willing to pay him the money for it, I say, more Sarge figures, the better. Yeah, they did those guys in the 3 3/4 inch during the 25th anniversary, so I wouldn't mind seeing them eventually in the 6 inch line. There's probably other characters I'd rather see first, but the Sarge's Marauders, especially since we're getting Lieutenant Falcon, I feel like it would be kind of cool to get those guys. That's why I was like, before we knew for sure it was going to be the his tank, I was starting to think, well, maybe they would do now that they've got Sergeant Slaughter on board and everything, maybe they will do the his tank, and then like his add-ons, they would do those guys as add-ons. See, Hasbro may have Hasbro didn't step on any toes. So first of all, Valorverse figures, Action Force figures, it's the GI Joe collectors who are basically collecting that line. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's not like there's this huge contingent of Action Force collectors out there. The Action Force guy, I mean, Action Force was an extension of GI Joe essentially back in the day. So it's the GI Joe guys that are just, kind of branching out and doing the Valorverse stuff. So yeah, Valaverse got Sergeant Slaughter on board for a figure before Hasbro did, but the reason why everybody wanted the Valaverse Sergeant Slaughter figure was because that was going to be their GI Joe version, to go with their GI Joe classified figure. So there wouldn't really be Valaverse figures without GI Joe. So I don't anyone who tries to say that like Hasbro stepping on Valaverse, to me, is crazy. And it's from a business perspective. If Valaverse didn't want other companies making, Sergeant Slaughter figures, then they should have gotten Sergeant to sign an exclusive contract where he could only have his figure done from one company. That would have probably cost a lot more money, which is probably why they didn't do it. But that's if you don't want someone else making a figure like that, then that's what you got to do, is you got to make it sure that it's an exclusive. But expecting another company, especially the company that originally made that character so popular, um, not to do one is kind of ridiculous. I'm still waiting on my Action Force Sergeant Slaughter figure, the first one from Big Bad Toy Store myself. So from what I understand, the Action Force Wave One figures that were supposed to go to Big Bad Toy Store are still sitting out on some ship. So I assume they'll come in eventually. But I mean, it's not really anything Big Bad Toy Store can do about it. So Mercer first backing the Haslab HISS tank and hopes it meets its stretch goals. I think it'll meet its stretch goals. I have little doubt that it's not going to meet. Again, I think it'll unlock the second one tomorrow, and then, you know, hopefully maybe Hasbro will get the third one announced a little quicker than they did today. But Sean, thank you very much, brother. Also, Mattel made one too. Yeah, Mattel did Sergeant Slaughter last year, so now the Mattel one is too big for GI Joe. It's a little too big for to fit in with your 6-inch GI Joe figures. So it's a nice figure, but it doesn't really work well with the GI Joe classified stuff. Yeah, Mercer, all those Sergeant Slaughter's Marauders were definitely kind of cool from the movie. I don't think those guys ever showed up again though. I think they only appeared in the GI Joe movie. Ben, that I think was probably a wise decision. But who knows? Maybe you'll win one tonight. McFarlane, what's up, man? So for you McFarlane fans, we saw we got a glimpse of them today, those Black Adam movie figures, but I believe those are going to be going up for pre-order tomorrow. So I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going by some stuff I've seen. And then also McFarlane, when they released a preview image for one of those Black Adam figures, they said something about it going up for pre-order on July 1st. So I believe those figures will be officially going up tomorrow, July 1st. I don't know exactly what time, probably maybe around 9 a.m. Eastern time, but if you've been waiting for those, then I think tomorrow will be the day they'll become available. Well, Serpentor with Sky Chariot, I think, is going to be a general release, or at least like, I could see that being a Target exclusive, like the Breaker with Ram Cycle. So, but that should, it looks like based on those prototype pieces that leaked out, Serpentor is definitely coming with an air chariot. Well, I obviously can't say for sure, but I mean, what would be the point in if they had, it's not like if they've arrived, why wouldn't Big Bad Toy Store send out their order? So, they would have no reason to sit on the figures and be like, yeah, we got these, but we're just not going to ship these out to people. So, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, I think it is. I think, there is still a lot of backup on the ports with a lot of that stuff. So, and it's not that it's probably not actually sitting out at sea somewhere. It's probably sitting in a warehouse where somebody hasn't come and basically taken it from the warehouse and put it on a truck so that it then gets to the distribution center that then makes its way to, it's, but I don't think anybody's trying to pull a fast one or anything. I think it's just, because of all the issues that have been going on. So eventually they will come. I mean, we just got to be patient is basically what it comes down to. Joker Dragon on sale at Target. I haven't even seen that figure at physical stores. I've seen it available online, but I've not seen that one at physical stores yet. Uh, I don't know. I mean, I won't say it's impossible, but Super 7 may try and get that license, I guess, but I don't know. I For me, the figure I want to get my hands on the most right now is the Transformers Studio 86 series Sludge figure, the Dinobot. That one I saw it started to hit targets, but I haven't seen it here yet. And that's probably the figure I'm kind of eagerly anticipating the most. Yeah, that we talked about that a little bit earlier. The canopy and the tread covers. 12,000 backers needed for that. Yeah, the Joker dragon. Google it, but it's a big Joker head with like it's kind of it looks like more like a worm with a big Joker head on it. So it's from like the death metal series, and you can like kind of have a figure right on the back of it, but it's like a mega figure that McFarlane did. Sir Davy Rocker, thank you much. Wait, let me say Sir Davy Sock Rocker. So yeah, there we go. Sorry, the names show up really small on the screen, so it's. I'm hoping the HISS tank's success of gives Hasbro the confidence to try classified playsets, maybe small ones to start off like G.I. Joe headquarters. I'm not sure I call the G.I. Joe headquarters a small playset, but I definitely feel like this will give Hasbro more confidence in doing obviously more classified HasLab stuff. In fact, they've said as such. They held a roundtable with members of the media where they basically said, you know, the success of this HISS tank is definitely opening the doors for them to do more HasLab projects in the future, and that they would continue to be like special stuff that, you know, you wouldn't necessarily see at regular retail. So how big will they go? No, I don't think we're ever going to see a 6-inch scale USS flag, but could we see larger vehicles than the HISS tank? Yes, I do think that is possible. Something like a G.I. Joe headquarters, I don't know. And I mean, they've done a couple of different headquarters, but so I don't know which one they would even try and do if they tried to do that. But I mean, like the original headquarters was basically just a place to put your Mobat and your Vamp Jeep. So with a big cannon in the middle of it. So there's probably not much point of doing that headquarters until we actually get a Vamp Jeep and a Mobat tank in the 6-inch scale. So a Vamp, a 6-inch classified Vamp, I think is definitely doable. Uh, Cobra Stinger Jeep is definitely doable. I could see them going up to like a Mauler size if they wanted to do a GI Joe tank. I could see them maybe with the success of the HISS tank. I could see them maybe doing a Mauler tank. I don't necessarily see them doing a Sky Striker. I feel like the Sky Striker would be too big, but definitely, you know, I don't think this is going to be the last HasLab classified campaign that we're going to see from Hasbro. I can see a water moccasin, 6-inch water moccasin. Yeah, I don't see them doing like a whale or a hydrofoil, but I could see them doing the water moccasin. It says Entertainment Earth has a Snake Eyes movie Storm Shadow on clearance for $7. They've got Entertainment Earth also had on clearance that Marvel Legends Red Hand Ninja with the Stiltman legs. So for like $7, something like that. And if you buy enough of them and you spend over $39, you get free shipping. So, you know, if you wanted to army build, you know, that's a double whammy army builder, because you get if you've got the Stiltman Build-A-Figure and you want to make them taller, you know, you can get more leg pieces. And then if you want to build up your ninja army, so Cosmic Wasp. We already know what the second tier is. It was revealed just a little while ago. It's a classic canopy and tread covers, so you can make it look more like the original HISS tank. if you want to. So that is the second tier, which they need to get to 12,000, and right now they are at 10,890. So again, probably we'll unlock that one tomorrow sometime. Captain, you backed the Cookie Monster, huh? Polar bear, if they wanted to do one, I think could be released at general retail. So like the polar bear, not really any bigger than the ram cycle. Things like the trouble bubble, the cobra claw glider, the snake armor, even the cobra fang helicopter, I think is probably they could get at general retail. So I feel like those are too small for Haslab, but like, you don't remember the Haslab Cookie Monster? It was the first Haslab to fail. It was a big giant stuffed animal. Well, there was an actual Cobra hang glider, and there was a G.I. Joe one too that was made with like a styrofoam material that you could actually throw and it would glide through the air. But then I think you're thinking of the claw, the white one that was made with plastic. Nemesis Enforcer. It was a weird HasLab offering, and I think that's why it failed. But they had the Sesame Street license, and I think they were trying to do something big for Sesame Street, and were I guess they were hoping that they could get, obviously that wasn't going to be something that appealed to action figure have a large appeal for action figure collectors, but I think they were hoping they could tap into like the parents market or something and get people to back it, and it didn't work. And yeah, it just did the glide. I don't remember the glider coming with a figure. Either glider, the Cobra or the Joe glider. All right, it's getting on to be almost 8, so I think we're gonna do the drawing here. So just for you latecomers, so this is how it's gonna work. Really, nothing you can do at this point. I'm just going to randomly scroll. I'm not even gonna look at the screen. I'm just gonna randomly scroll through the comments, and whatever name the cursor lands on is who's going to win a Cobra Hiss tank. Now, the way this will work is I'm gonna pick the person. I'll call out the name. That person will need to email me after the live stream ends. I'll give you my email address. And then you'll have to provide me your name and a mailing address, basically. And then I will go to the Hasbro Pulse website. I will buy, a his tank. And when I go in to fill in the mailing address and everything, I will put your information in. So at that point, there will be nothing more that I will do. It's just, and when Hasbro ends up sending out the HISS tanks, and we know it is going to actually be funded, so there's no doubt on this one. It's definitely going to be funded. So when Hasbro basically, in a year from now or whenever, ships it out, one will go to you, the person who wins it. So that's how it's going to work. So it's just my way of saying thank you to you guys for always coming in here and hanging out with me and doing these chats and everything. So I'm going to make sure my cursor is in the right place. And and just know that if you win, the only caveat is you have to live somewhere where Hasbro Pulse mails it. If you live, somewhere in the world where Hasbro Pulse doesn't ship to, you can't win it, because again, it's going to go straight. It's going to go out from Hasbro to you. It's not going to like come to me and then I'm going to mail it to you. So you have to live in an area where Hasbro Pulse ships, and that's the only caveat here. So if I call your name and you happen to live somewhere where Hasbro Pulse doesn't ship to, just say that and then we'll do another drawing. Yeah, make sure my cursor's in the right place. All right, so Logan left because he didn't want to hang out for this. And I think he got tired of waiting for his walk. Okay. Omega Maximus is the winner. So, congratulations, my friend. You are the name. I just want to write your name down. All right. So, Omega, what you need to do is, well, first of all, is Omega Maximus still here? He hasn't chimed in, so not sure if he's actually still here. Omega Maximus, are you still in the house? Uh-oh, Omega's... I think you're right, John. All right, well, this is what we're going to do. Hopefully he will come... I should have mentioned that if you're not here, you probably want to make sure you come back and check the video. All right, we'll give him another minute. If he's not here... See, I would say, normally I say, I give him 24 hours to claim his prize. All right, we'll do this. So I'm going to give him 24 hours. Hopefully he will come back and watch through the video to see who won. And what Omega Maximus, if you're seeing this at some point within the next 24 hours, so you're going to want to email me. I will put my email address down in the comments section below, jay@enewseye.com. If he does not claim his prize within 24 hours, then on my next live stream, we'll do this again. So if he doesn't get the prize claimed within 24 hours of right now, so if he hasn't contacted me by this time tomorrow, then next week, probably on Tuesday, we'll try this again and we'll give it away. But I'm going to give him the 24 hours. Hopefully he will, like I said, come back and watch this and claim his prize. So again, he'll want to email me. If you see it, Omega, you'll want to email me, letting me know that you saw this and are claiming your prize, and then you'll have to give me your mailing address and things like that. But Yeah. All right. So I don't think, definitely doesn't look like Omega is still in the house, or he fell asleep. Maybe, maybe he fell asleep at the the computer screen. Yeah, and you'll have to prove that you're Omega Maximus. Um, so if you're not Omega Maximus, don't email me trying to claim that you are Omega Maximus. All right. So again, if he does not claim within 24 hours, we will do this drawing again next week. So you guys will get another shot at it if he doesn't claim it. But thanks everybody who chimed in. And next week, probably, by next Tuesday, we'll probably know what all 4 of the unlockable tiers are. So you'll have a better idea of what you're getting then as well. So, but thanks again, everybody, for chiming in. As always, guys, stay safe out there. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.
Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News message boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.